Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I would like to introduce into the record a letter led by my friend from Oklahoma, Congressman Mark Wayne Mullen and Congressman Tim Murphy, signed by myself and 26 other colleagues.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The letter was sent to the EPA seeking clarification on potential EPA plans to embed U.S. federal employees in foreign countries to help monitor their progress towards the Paris Climate Promises goals. The EPA has yet to respond to the letter, but I'm hopeful they will take the letter seriously and address our concerns soon. With that, Mr. Groves, are you concerned that the EPA is going beyond their legal authority by sending employees overseas?
Well, that article in that letter is the first I've heard of this, Mr. Lucas. But I think what it does show is kind of the mischief that our federal agencies can get themselves into once you have something like the Framework Convention on Climate Change and the Paris Agreement being signed. Is you have something that they can point to that authorizes them to engage in this type of international cooperation. I mean, I would be interested in seeing where the funding is coming from to pay U.S. employees taxpayer dollars to go help other countries with their climate change issues. But from a legal standpoint, you know, when the president signs things and treats them as executive agreements, like he's treating the Paris Agreement, then it gives agencies like the State Department and the EPA clearance to go out and do this, or at least some type of justification they can point back to. But I think it's something that's worthy of further examination.
Absolutely. Mr. Eule, on principle, I'm wholeheartedly disagree with the concept of devoting U.S. taxpayers' money to enforce an international agreement that the Senate's not yet even ratified. That being said, I understand it's the EPA's intent to move forward and help China get a handle on its greenhouse gas emissions. Do we really have a clue how much greenhouse gas China's emitting?
No, Congressman, we don't. There was an interesting report in the New York Times a few months ago which said that Chinese had been underestimating their coal consumption by 17%. Just to give you an idea of how big that is in emissions terms. That's equivalent to the greenhouse gas emissions, not just CO2 emissions, but the greenhouse gas emissions of Germany. So this is not a trivial error. And one of the aspects of the Chinese pledge is to set up a trading system, emissions trading system. And you know, the question I have is, how can you set up an emission trading system when you really don't know what your emissions are? So yeah, that's a big problem. And it's not just with China, by the way. I think this is a problem a lot of developing countries have. They really don't have a handle on how much they're emitting.
So it's hard to enforce agreement that you don't have any details for at home. You don't have any facts to work from of substance.
Well, I mean, one of the things in the Paris Agreement is to set up a system where they're supposed to be able to do that, but we'll just have to see how that works out.
Absolutely. Well, it'll be fascinating to see how the EPA responds on this concept of sending U.S. employees out to enforce agreements that the Senate hasn't yet approved. With that, Mr. Chairman, I await with intensity on our friends at the EPA to respond, and I yield back.
Thank you.